Yes, greetings, good afternoon, my family. How you doing out there? I'm trusting all is fine. Yeah, we've been enjoying this good weather for some weeks now. Just that short interlude with a little bit of rain. A little bit of rain, but I must say to you, this rain came sometime this week, during the course of the week, and it was an effort. It was an effort for myself just to get back indoors because this little bit of flash flood that occur is like there was rivers on the roads, and when they make the bend heading for the drains, it's like the water it's too much to go down the drain, so it's like it created a bit of a reservoir. So one had us to navigate themselves, otherwise they were going through puddles or pools of water. Well, that certainly was the experience I had. And then when I got to my house now, I just said, well, something, in order to get in, your foot have to get wet. So it's like, so at that point you needed Wellingtons. But yeah, it was an experience. Good to have had the rain. Again, the plants would have been happy and all the better for it. But unfortunate for myself, all the figs now, they've riped off the tree and there's no more figs to be talking about. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, how are you all doing out there? I was there on good time, being honest. I wasn't really late. I was over at Wolves Lane, over there in Tottenham, near the New River Centre, at the well, anyway, I was over there, volunteered some of my time today, was to join Duke Basie in covering some recreational grounds in order for a festival, which I know they've got planned for the latter part of October. Yeah, so yeah, it was a pleasure to be there. Met up with a few sisters and brother from Birmingham. So I'd like to say big up to Sharon, Lydia, and Sister Kesheniwa. And yeah, it was quite an eventful day. It was a pleasure to be out in the woods, just holding a meditation. And yeah, we had what do you say, like a vegan lunch. And after which I left. But yeah, we were in conversation because our topic and our guest today, all being well, will be Sister Akua, and we'll be touching on our spirituality, or if not our spirituality, then certainly spirituality, because we're not wrestling against flesh and blood, but very much spiritual warfare for us in this time, and it would appear that this is the key. Yeah, the key to our situation in order to resolve the issues which are presently besetting us, and I'm saying that to the core, yeah, because for whatever reason, when we talk about mental slavery, we probably would have touched on it in that we are not in that situation now where we were, or our ancestors were drawn and quartered, limbless, and our heads being cut off, hung, all these things that they had been subjected to. What happened is when obviously they found out that that couldn't work, I think that's when they probably turned to what they would call the good book to indoctrinate us. And we've been there ever since. And I'm sure there are a number of you out there who would agree, embarrassing as it is, because I think what COVID had taught us is it's opened us our eyes to a lot of things, because we had been locked down for a period of time. We had internalized a lot of things. Yeah, we really had also look into ourselves, and ultimately, COVID became like a religion, because it's either you believe or you just simply didn't believe. Yeah. Now, I personally, I didn't believe. I mean, those of you who know me, I mean, I was out there protesting left, right, and center, saying enough is enough. Yeah. And to a certain extent, whether I'm wrong or right, it's not for me to make that judgment. That judgment is upon yourself, the listeners out there, some of which, or some of you, had taken the joke, some of you hadn't. But what I think it had opened up our eyes to, and I see it, particularly in the churches, they seem to have switched. Instead of their faith being in God, their faith ultimately turned to man because they were looking to man and the injection, yeah, to juke them in order to heal them of this thing which they never even had experienced. But their faith was that, or their faith was as such that they believed that this was something that was going to be around the corner, and if they didn't protect themselves, they were going to be vulnerable to this COVID or catching it from their family member who no doubt had us to go out to work or had us to make a living. So for the past 2 years, we have been, or a number of us have been traumatized. So COVID, in a sense, had become, well, it is my opinion, become like a religion if you believe. And there's now a number of you out there who are so embarrassed because you've gone on to take not just one joke or two joke, not even three joke to that matter of fact, but you're now probably on your fourth dose. And you, I'm sure you're saying when is enough enough? Yeah. So our subject matter for today is going to be spirituality. So I'm honored to be able to have a special guest in the studio who we were going to go through. So I'm asking of you, obviously, that if you've got any issues around your spirituality, and we're really talking about African spirituality because there is an event also coming up at the end of this week coming, the 26th and the 27th down there in Bethnal Green, that is going to be highlighting, and you've got eminent people who have studied and make this their field of choice. Well, maybe not necessarily choice, but they have been led to be doing this work because it may well be a calling for them to so do. Yeah, but yeah, I'm without a doubt honored to be able to have a guest in the studio who is going to share her experience and her reasons as to why she was drawn towards, and again further as to why now, at this time where we effectively are at a crossroad. Yeah, so I look forward to that. In the meantime, yeah, as I was saying, I've just come back from Wolves Lane and volunteering some time because I had put it out there that, and I've been posting it also on WhatsApp on this event, which was taking place today between the hours of 10 to 5 o'clock, I believe, today. We was asking of you to volunteer your service in order to make some sacred space for an event later on in October. So yeah, well, I myself had done so today because sometimes you have to example certain things, and certainly I know that's what I had done. Yeah. So I'm hoping that you're enjoying your day so far. Those of you who are having your dinner, I'm hoping obviously that you do enjoy your meal. And yeah, what have I got for you other than to wish you a further great uprising? Hoping all is well with you, that you are inclined or akin to the weather, which is quite fine. I hope that you're using it because, again, we had a vegan meal and it was quite refreshing to know that what you're eating, it actually came off the land to which you're presently seated or standing. And that food obviously is energizing my body because I've not been able to come back down to the studio. So I've just basically left and come straight here. And I think it's fitting to know that once you connect to your nature, it's like you're not natural conduit or conductor. So everything then flows in a manner that the sun then would recharge you, and that would then give you the energy in order to do whatever your challenge is, and the energy to do whatever work that may be set to you. Yeah. Now, so much has happened in the last week. Particularly again yesterday, I was up in Edmonton Green there at the Windrush Anchor Festival, and it was pleasing. It was very much like a family union reunion. Yeah, so I will elaborate a little bit more again on that, and I've started to put out the video post footage courtesy of Street Mike. Yeah, yeah, big up Street Mike. Yeah, yeah, it was really a good follow. What do you say? Family regathering. Yeah, we started off whilst we was setting up with Rudy Page. I actually saw Doug Taylor, who's a former leader of Enfield Council. He was passing through, so I gave out my shouts, and he came over. We took some pictures, and from there, everything just basically unfolded and opened up itself. The crowd was a bit scanty at first, but I mean, trust me, we had a fantastic day. Yeah, as people gather over the course of the afternoon. Yeah. So yeah, I'll share with you later on. And again, maybe there are those who are listening that may well want to make that contribution by phoning in. So yeah, it was really good. It was really good and pleasing to see the youngsters again. You know. So yeah, where are we? Yeah, another week. I think it's still the same. We are saying enough is enough. Politically, they're still going through whatever they're saying and doing amongst themselves. We still have the concerns around the petrol, fuel price going up, energy costs going up, food costs going up. So everything is going up. When the whilst they're going up, the elite are obviously living comfortable, within their own bubble, and then expected for us to believe that we're all in the same boat. Yeah, so irrespective of whichever government appears to be in power, it's like it's the same thing for us who is at the bottom end of society, who does all the hard work and don't seem to get the benefit and the real reward. But nonetheless, saying all of that, my family, you can't give up the good fight. Yeah, we have to continue on this blessed journey that we call life. Yeah, because many we have lost. Yeah, and it will continue to be so because such is life, it has its beginning as well as its end. Yeah, so for my African Caribbean community, would you not say it's time for us to emancipate ourselves from mental slavery? Because some of the things that we had addressed is irrespectful of the different governments, particularly in my community, because we were honoring Mr. Vince Campbell, who was quite a steward man within our community that we can lean upon insofar as setting examples. He was one who was honored, knighted to a certain extent by the Queen, and insofar as industries, he was recognized for that. And he himself had invented something which was of a benefit to the company to which he was working. So that's in part the reason why he was able to progress within in order to become very, would you say, strong and hold a very influential position within the company. Yeah. Nonetheless, he didn't really take on the political empowerment, which I think would have been necessary in order for us probably to have made it at an easier road in getting through. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, he's one of our ancestors on whose shoulders we do stand. And yeah, we continue to lose loved ones within our community. But may I just encourage you all, just be strong because it's the way it is. And there's no death as such because these people or loved ones to which we lose, for whatever reason, they will always be in our minds, our thoughts, yeah, for the good that they had done and had impacted upon us. Yeah. Okay, just bear with me a moment, please.
Right in this old battle, as I'm fighting the old devil, all the strain, all the pressures lies on me. The only Bible that we read, la 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 la. The devil hates me, but he can't touch my soul. The devil hates me, 'cause I'm preaching lost soul. I am reaching. He tries to kill me, but he can't take my soul. Yeah, I go to church, he like it, because I can't fight sin. The devil hates me, but he can't touch my soul. I'm a soldier in this war, as I'm fighting, you must know the battle is hard, because of it. The only Bible is you, that the devil is bound to lose. All the strength will have the victory over sin. The devil hates me, because I'm preaching lost soul. I am reaching. He tries to kill me, but he can't touch my soul. Yeah, I go to church, he likes me, because I can't fight sin. The devil hates me, but he can't touch my soul. The devil hates me, because I'm preaching lost soul. I am preaching. He tries to kill me, but he can't touch my soul. No, I go to church, he likes me, because I can't fight sin. The devil hates me, but he can't touch my soul. I am next in line for my blessing. I am next in line, I know. Yeah, I won't complain. He calls my name. I'm next in line, I know. travel along. They say I am nothing, but they are so wrong. In my heart I'm rejoicing. I will never sing. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing on me. As a word took upon me as I travel along. They say I am nothing, but they are so wrong. In my heart I'm rejoicing. I will say good things. Thank you, Lord, for your blessing on me.
Yes, family. Sorry for the distraction. Yeah, but yeah, I'm back with you. But yeah, our guest will be with us shortly. Just having to give a little bit of direction further to what I'd been given prior. Yeah. So yeah, let me just run through quickly then. Paying my respect to my ancestors as I'd been doing over the weekend with our elder who had lost latter part of last year, Mr. Vince Campbell, and also being reminded of Dan Man, who we had lost, who actually shared the said birthday as Marcus Messiah Garvey, where there was a number of celebration in the course of the week in regards to awards. Yeah, so respect also goes to management and fellow presenters on blessradio1.com. To you, my listeners out there, more love, peace, and harmony. To you, my family. To the generals, them out there in the community on the front line holding the fort, 1,000 drum salute to you. The Joy Gardner family, again, particularly Graham, more strength, my young son, brother, soldier. Yeah. Our good brother Douglas Williams family, the Julia Gomez family, the Edwards family, that's Lady Leo, and to my family and friends out there in Jamaica, Barry Batcher, Barry Dredd, Steve Romaine, Sister Annette, Yvonne, yeah, John Rasta John up in the hills, and Martin, Patrick, Rennie, yeah, so many. Yeah. Also to Neil, more strength to you, family. That's Donnelly Donaldson's uncle. More strength. Just keep the fire burning. You know what I'm saying? Because ways are not for the swift, but for those who endure. And I know there is no hiding place. Yeah, there is no hiding place. You know, when there's truth, there is rights. Yeah. So again, to the Campbell family, who were out in the force this week, yesterday in Edmonton Green, big up. Yeah, as I was saying, this week's program we have our sister Akua Ofosuhere, who is presently making her way to the studio, and she's a tailor by trade, I believe, and a founder member of African Spiritual Practice Events. She's also a public speaker on the therapeutic use of psychedelics. So I'm anxiously awaiting our arrival here now. And the other top subject matter we may well be able to look on is emancipation, independence, our 1,000 drum African ancestral salute. Obviously, we continue to evoke our spirituality towards our warrior queen Sasha Johnson for her continued improvements insofar as her health. We know that she's doing everything at the moment with the exception of walking. So we very much look forward to her healing. And again, there is this case of forgiveness because I was in conversation with my sisters over there at Wolves Lane Community. And we were looking at the healing, forgiveness, our community. To a certain extent, we're looking at the love and what is that's lacking within us that prevents us from unity. Yeah, so these again, as you are aware of, they're very much the same as what has been given, the guidelines that had been given at the big offset from my wife. And we look forward as to our sponsors. I wasn't able to engage with Samuel Gumb's funeral this week, but again, look forward to so doing. Our allotment, the part of Bontigue, have passed the allotment. Nothing has happened further on that, so it's in a bit of a state. I'd like to pay my respect also to Russ Ian Kunte, um, Tafari, whose words of good I've been using oftentimes. And it was pleasant and nice to see Margaret Thorley yesterday, who is responsible for those training programs, particularly for single fathers. Yeah, so yeah, there is just so much that is happening again. And yeah, again, in regards to Jamaica, you're just keeping an eye on things as to what's going down there insofar as the relationship with police and government and the corruption which seem to be spoiling our country. And again, even within our conversation, why is that it's necessary in order to break this island paradise they call Jamaica? Why is it all heads of state seem to want to head for this country? What is that so spiritually special about this place? Yeah, that we need to fully understand as to why it is they find it necessary to pick on us at all times. Also, you might even wonder why it is that we're so blessed that whatever we put out, people gravitate towards. Why is it that we appear to be the trend setters? Yeah, insofar as our consciousness. Why is it that we have so many people that comes out of this rock, yeah, rock island that influence the world? And why is it then, knowing all of these things, we still allow our oppressors to continue to oppress us in the manner that is destructive, not just to us as an island community, but to all of us, insofar as what it is that we need to be doing presently. Yeah.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na.
Yeah, so as we wait, my family, let's find out what time it is.
They don't know what time it is. They don't know what time it is. They don't know what time it is.
It's time to say enough is enough. We can't take it no more.
Lock up your ears and don't want listen. Now you all get it from baby and suckling. How where you getting on the morning? The youth them all a said that them want hear the king. Long time no hear all the voice you sing. When them see the king all a sing from rhythm. The whole of them a get up and sing. You know hear? They don't know what time it is. 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 Ghanaian Gideon starting, and Shashaman is calling, and you gotta get yourself prepared, whoa. Are you gonna stare in a Babylon and fight them Gideon? Are you gonna stare in a Babylon and face them destructive plan? Now it's the end of time. Ethiopia's online. When God a walk, you know man shock and shock. So they don't know what time it is. 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 A long time I tell them, say, Selassie are the king. Cock up them ears and don't want listen. Now them all a get it from babe and suckling. How where them getting on the morning? The youth them all a say that they want hear the king. Long time Now you're all the voice you sing. When them see the king, all a jump and we do. The whole of them a get up and sing. They don't know what time it is. 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 Let him arrive, let him arrive, whoa, whoa, let him arrive. Selassie I arise, and all enemies scatter, let them scatter.
Yes, all enemies must scatter. Scatter, my family. In this time, yeah, it's our time, so we're not to be phased in any way, yeah, in what task has been set us. Yeah, so whilst my sister is making her way, then let me greet you as per usual. And that's to say, the development of a nation depends upon the development of its legal institutions. And from the evidence of yesterday's Anchor Festival, these are the things which is necessary for us in this time. We need to take our responsibility upon ourselves individually and to come together as a collective in order to deal with the legal status or the legal institutions which are out there that uses the laws in order to continue to oppress us. Yeah, so the proper administration of justice requires a search for truth, and in order to do so we need to be around the table in order to scrutinize. And if it's just as an individual, we're not going to be able to cover all our bases. That's why we need to come together as a collective, because as a collective we can surround any problems that will beset us. So that's why it's so important. Once we can recognize these things, my family, then we can work off our God-given powers. And again, I'm so pleased to announce or to let you know that our guest has arrived. I can only say I apologize for any inconvenience that you may well have encountered in so doing. Yeah, no, just relax yourself for a little bit, and then we will set things straight. I think you'll need to probably come round a little bit because I'm not actually seeing you. I'm not sure as to how you set on. I've got some water here for you as well. Yeah, in here is hot. In here is hot. Yeah, and I myself, I was out there over, it's like an allotment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're preparing some space for an event. With
I've seen this T-shirt before, but like maybe just yesterday.
yeah, you'll see this T-shirt all over the place.
Yeah, what is it?
It's enough is enough. Concept to RASSSS. I'm just so conscious of the fact that within the threshold of what the acronym, it's an acronym, but you can say ... but when you pronounce it, sometimes people are not very comfortable with it. So
what does he say? To Ras. Is that a swear word?
no, it's not a swear word. Did you not see the dots?
I did.
No, it's the perception is and it's a cultural thing. Being honest with you, Europeans don't see it as a swear word.
No, I didn't actually know it. So if somebody
Yeah,
says Ras, it's a swear word. I
Yeah,
didn't know.
I'm a Jamaican.
Right, I'm Ghanaian, so I only know second-hand
Yeah,
from friends.
and it's interesting then because also it may well be that you'd say other cultures with outside of the diaspora, let's say the West Indies, unless they've been informed, don't see it as a derogatory term. Yeah, and it buys into a conversation which I was having not too long ago with a group of sisters who had gathered to do the voluntary work, and amongst them was Sister Keshin
Oh,
Niwa.
Kashaniwa, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
Keshin
yes.
Niwa was in
Yes.
there. So we was having this conversation, and it's very much a mindset, which that's what really intrigued me as to our spirituality, where we had, and we were even saying why it is that they find it necessary to focus to a certain extent on Jamaica, the little island of Jamaica, and us not realizing the powers that we have, why all officials in the world, heads of states, always seem to want to touch down, touch
Oh,
base.
yeah. Jamaica
Yeah.
is a vortex.
Well, you see, I've never heard it put that way. Yeah, and it's really myself. I have to be open to be educated more so, as well as our listeners, because as you know, with social media now, it's international.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so we need to draw on your experience, your journey, because we're all gifted. And we need to realize that we each should just stay in our lane. Yeah, we should just stay in our lane and let those who have been called spiritually in order to do, which is to heal and do whatever is necessary, to let them to do. Yeah, but it's like for whatever reason. And I'm saying these are the conversations we was having this
Fantastic.
afternoon. And I
Right.
started to write down questions because I said, well, you know
Brilliant.
something, this conversation, maybe if we start to formulate some questions, then all the answers are going to jump out. Yeah. But yeah, we're here to be informed. So let me formally welcome yourself.
Thank you.
This is a space that I was invited into by Brother Douglas Williams. And these chairs are chairs, well, maybe they have been changed, but they were occupied once by both Lady Leo as well as Brother Douglas Williams.
Okay.
So I'm honored to a certain extent, being passed the baton.
Yes,
And
yes,
where I
yes.
am presently, I'm conscious of the fact the last two guests that I've had are males. Yeah, and life is all about balance.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Yeah, and
indeed.
I have to, would I say, I humble myself, yeah, as to the fact of the matter that, as in the case with Nanny of the Maroons,
Yes.
yeah, we have to respect and honor our queen heads. Myself, I'd worked alongside Sasha Johnson, and I
Okay.
see how articulate and powerful she was as an individual.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
and further, since you've said now you're from Ghana, yeah, I've not been as yet, but I very much look forward. Yeah. So yeah, you've sent me your bio, so I've looked at it. Yeah, and I'm very much looking forward to you sharing the journey.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What you could do for me is to say who you are,
yes.
because I can't get my tongue
That's
around.
okay. I tell everybody it takes 5 public goes at my name. So
Okay.
everyone has 5 opportunities to get it wrong, because I myself am really bad with getting names right. So I
Okay.
really understand when people get my name wrong. I never get offended
Okay,
because
okay.
I am that person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Let me switch this light on because it would appear that the sun got a bit dark.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Leon. Right. Now I've got you still out of shot, so
Oh.
no. It's alright.
No?
If you stay where you are, what I
Oh,
will
okay.
do, I will move my camera because it may well be that because I tend to keep a copy of whatever I say.
Fantastic. No, that's good.
I
Yeah,
tend to also
yeah. You know,
do
we're
so,
in
yeah.
the social media age, and it's good to have things
up.
in multiple.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
yeah, and
Yeah,
and
if they want to accuse us, we need to be able to defend ourselves. Most definitely.
very powerful logo. Love it. The
Yeah,
whole
Yeah,
Yeah.
this station is a blessing to the community,
fabulous.
but it's only a blessing if we have the right, or represent the truth and send the right messages.
Mm.
Yeah, actually what we most definitely need to do. Yeah. No, I really don't. But, just yeah. Well, maybe we could do because I'm actually off. So if you could introduce yourself, then
Mhm.
at least something will be.
Are we live?
Yeah, well, it's live is live. Live is live.
Oh right, sorry, I didn't realise that we are live. So
Yeah.
shall I introduce myself?
Yeah, please.
Okay. Hi everybody. Thank you so much, and thank you so much, Brother Clive, for allowing me to come on your platform and to speak. So my name is Akua Ofosuhere. So
No. You said 5 times,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you've got to allow me.
Absolutely. So, I say Akua, that's how we say it back home, Asante people, but Akua,
Akua.
yes.
Okay,
And that
yeah.
means a girl born on Wednesday.
Born on Wednesday.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Well, for those in the diaspora, particularly those in Jamaica, because we've got a saying, we say kuya.
okay. And what does that mean then when you say that?
It's an element of surprise. Is
Okay.
that? I said, but kuya. What's that about?
Okay.
Go on.
So when I get to Jamaica, everybody will say my name really easily then.
Yeah. But it's not the first part. Sorry, it's not the first part. It's the second.
It's yeah.
Yeah?
Well, Ofosuhere is Ofosuhini is what people. Ofosu.
Osof.
No,
Ofo.
Su
Su.
Hini.
Hini.
Yes.
Os-
Ofosu Hini.
Osofo.
You've turned me into a priest, but we'll leave it there. I love it because Osofo is a priest.
Oh, yes, and I'm saying the wrong thing.
That you're suddenly saying
okay.
something
I'll
else.
get
It's all
familiar
good,
because
it's all
obviously
good.
you've said it, so at least I can have the comfort to go and listen
Totally,
and
it's
and
fine.
learn.
So I work professionally as a dressmaker, but I'm founder of African Spiritual Practices Events, and I also am co-founder of Hub and Culture, which is a creatives handmade things shop, and that's a cooperative shop in Kentish Town.
Okay, when you say handmade, what are we talking? Ornaments?
Yeah, so we say we are global and local artisans. So it's we have furniture, we have clothes, we print T-shirts, we have soap, we have creams, we have crystals. We're actually looking for more people to come and join the cooperative, especially people in the wellness areas, maybe people who do herbs, people, we want to expand what we do because people in Kentish Town love the fact that this is not another corporate shop. And so in a way that kind of relates to the events and African spirituality. It's for me, it's trying to make more of the world I inhabit be more of what I want to inhabit. So what I want, I know there's other people out there who want what I want. So I want to be part of revealing and presenting more of that as an option for us who want things to, we understand that everything has a spirit, and so we want more of that. We want things to be handmade with love. So that our spirituality is in what we eat, in what we do, in what we touch, in what we work.
Okay.
With.
So is that culturally as well? So the things that you produce, we're talking about, are they all culture? Is it something that we ourselves should identify with?
Oh yeah, but it's global culture. So
global,
we have things from. Today I was reciting all the countries because somebody came in and she knew I was Ghanaian. So she said, "Oh, is everything from Ghana?" And it's like, well. Ghana, Mali, Burkina, India, China, South America, USA, Vietnam. So we have things from all over.
It's interesting you said USA. What does that mean? Because I mean, my mindset is them thief everything from us. So
Well, so the things that we have from USA, so it's probably easier to say what we have from USA, and we have some crystals from USA because certain crystals, different crystals grow in different areas of the world. So things like amethysts, I mean, the best amethysts come from Brazil. So we have Brazilian amethysts, but we have quartz from what would be called the United States of America. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good to know because it's always concerning, like for us who are now trying to be more conscious-minded as to what it is that is representative. Yeah, but we know the earth is the law and the fullness thereof. So
Well,
everything
this
that is from the earth is ours.
Absolutely. This is the thing, you know, like I've had Holy Black Cooperative before. And what I've understand about the world or the universe is we have changing cycles. And as more light is coming and we're absorbing more light, actually our route into all of this is through Africa, but it doesn't end there because we didn't just stay there, we moved across this planet. And so and as we moved across this planet and our teachings changed with different foods and different weather, some of our teachings we now have to retrieve from other parts of the world. So we can't limit ourselves to just the continent because our knowledge didn't stay there. Our knowledge went like this.
Yeah. Well, again, the continent in itself, Mother Africa, is our roots.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's the best place to start.
Yeah.
In the root, and then as you come up the trunk, you see the branches also spread out.
Yeah. And we, to a certain extent now, we are the fruits that are now supposed to be ripened or enlightened, who are now going to drop on the earth and to regenerate again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I wholly embrace and I think understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when we say Africa, we're talking as to the foundation.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you say you're originally from Ghana?
Yes, I'm
heritage?
Ghanaian.
Okay, well, I'm honored because I think that gives us an insight where we can make comparison. I myself, I came here 69.
Right.
From
That's when I was
Jamaica.
born. Hey, you look good, though. Wow. In Ghana, we'll say refuse to grow.
I was going to say, don't expose me like that.
I've had to expose you. Refuse to grow. Wow.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
that's when I first came here. And I'm from a village community.
Wow.
From a community or a parish called St. Thomas.
Okay.
And there is a stigma, a line or associated with St. Thomas.
Why?
They say we call it voodoo or
voodoo. Yeah.
No, on the island we say hobia.
Yes.
So in part, that's part of my fascination as to why I need to
So
find
you
out.
people are strong then. If people are a bit scared that there's some obia there, so there's power.
But a lot of us don't see it as power. That's why it's so much important when it comes out of your mouth.
Okay.
And you amplify it.
Yes.
Because
No, I understand. We have the same thing in Ghana.
Yeah, you're enlightening me because we've been led to believe it's a curse.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's only in the last 2-3 years that I can be more open and more confident in myself because I've been baptized.
Right. Yeah.
I've been baptized, and in part that's because of the trials and tribulations that I had been subjected to, that I was reaching out thinking it is a way forward.
Yes.
But then having been in there, I can say categorically through my experience, because whereas it might have been a belief, I now know because I've experienced it, that wherever you are, there are hypocrites everywhere.
Absolutely. You know, we live in a duality, and we live in a binary existence on this plane at this time, where everything there is, you know, a left and a right and an up and a down, and always what we're trying to do is to tread the middle path because to go too much the other way causes an imbalance. And so, you know, the interesting thing about Christianity and the church and Islam and African religion and the way different things have become demonized is even in our own family. Our family, my mother's sister was a very famous Christian healer. And when she died about 25 years ago, I think it was, I think she had just about 100 churches, mostly in Ghana. And at the time she died, I think they might have had one in the UK. Since then, I think there's 4 more in the UK. There's 1 or 2 in America. There's even one in India of her churches. And so we were brought up very much that traditional African religion was bad. We were literally told in our family that we had a curse which my mother's sister took away. Now, and this is why we must never touch traditional African religion, and if you touch it, you will die. So my mother's sister did remove a curse, but what I have since learned is that if we touch our traditional African religion, we will not die, because the curse was nothing to do with African religion. The curse was the actions of 2 people in the family, what they did. That's what brought a curse onto the family. And what I've also since learnt is that my mother's father, my grandfather, was a traditional African priest. What we call Okomfo, which is the type of people that Christians now are very frightened of, because they go into trance and they dance around, and they have to have someone who tells them afterwards, this is what you said while you were in trance and all of this stuff. So we were brought up not really knowing that my aunt's father was a traditional African priest. Not only was he a traditional African priest, but so was 3 of his brothers. And what we've learnt is that all the way back, at least 450 years, every single generation of our family, this gift comes through. Interestingly, in the family, some people have become Islamic priests, healers. So, and now the gift, my brother has the gift, but he is not affiliated with any religion. So what I started to realize was this, the gift of healing is somehow in the DNA of the family, and then the individual almost decides where they're going to take that gift. And it wasn't intrinsically Christian, it wasn't intrinsically Islamic, and it wasn't intrinsically traditional African religion. It's the gift comes, and it's the human being who decides to attribute it to something.
That is going to be my question. Why is it you say it's the individual's choice as to the path they go? Yeah, as a human being.
Yeah, because we always have choice.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're, I'll ask you, what is your talent?
Yeah, and I say I haven't got a clue. I am spiritually led.
No, I just mean in your life. What is your talent?
Okay, I'll say my calling is in a sense working with young people.
Right, so working with young people, that could have taken you in a myriad of directions, still to work with young people. So it's a bit like that, I think, when a gift comes through your DNA, someone who can play the piano really well, they could decide to teach, they might decide to become a concert pianist, they might decide to start a jazz band. You know, where you take the talent is totally your individual decision. Yeah.
Okay, I do tend to think that it's like you're led because of maybe the environment.
Yep.
So it's not necessarily your own choosing. It's the environment that you're in that you identify. It's time for me to go over there because it's all within you already.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
so they're
yes,
not
yeah.
necessarily going to be, say, converting you, or you impact on them.
And it's also a mix of all of those things at the same time, because I know when my mum's sister's gifts first started, Because our family, the rest of the family, were not Christian at that time. They were still traditional African religion, Akan religion, I suppose. So when her gifts started coming through, my grandmother apparently, because by then their father was dead, so her gifts started coming through. She was, from what they say, she was like 9 or 10. She was hearing plants talking to her. So then they did the traditional thing, is to try and find a traditional healer who would then listen to her and say, it is this spirit that wants to work with her. And apparently my grandmother toured, if you like, my aunt around, and everywhere she would go, they would be like, I don't know what spirit is trying to come through her. So my grandmother in the end didn't put my aunt in school, because they were worried that she would be sectioned and locked up, because this child, she couldn't go to the farm. She would run away from the farm saying, the pepper is talking to me, all of this stuff. And it was a Christian missionary, a Ghanaian Christian missionary, who came to, apparently to our village, and my grandmother she didn't know where else to turn. So she took my aunt to her and just said, I hear you have gifts. This is my daughter. Things are talking to her. I've been everywhere. No one can tell me the spirit. I hear you have a different spirit. You listen to her. See if you can understand. And so this lady started asking my aunt, okay, what are you hearing? And when my aunt started to say what she was hearing passages from the Bible. So it was this woman who was like, okay, leave this child with me. I know the spirit that's coming through her. This is the one true God. And then, so my aunt had training with this woman, and she started her mission. And, we're all these years later, and her churches are still going. But when the gift started coming through my brother, it came through, if you like, in a different way, because we're in a different time. So he was accessing Tahuti and Tutankhamun, and he was accessing Ganesh, who we see as a Hindu deity. He was accessing from everywhere and being shown things that we are told come from one tradition that we think isn't ours. But the thing is, when it comes to the universe, these lines on maps doesn't mean anything. Energies are there, and if you have the access code in your DNA to tap into them, these energies don't know about Ghana and China and India.
Yeah, well,
these are man-made concepts.
I'm so fascinated in you just saying that, because the source, like, we are obviously, as a culture, as a race, we are the origin of a lot of things. So it's like they say all rivers lead to the sea. And these origin, everything leads back to the foundation, which is us as Africa. So I'm
and beyond, because what I've also been learning about, and I'm trying to find an Indigenous Australian elder to maybe not speak at this one event that's coming up next week, but maybe for October, I'm actually trying to find an Australian Indigenous elder, because they have stories and timelines that seem to supersede, ancient Egypt. And I couldn't believe it. I've been reading about hieroglyphs in Australia, and how Australia was visited by ancient Egyptians who came there because they said, you guys have an older knowledge, so it's like, wow. And then you hear the oldest DNA is, from Papua New Guinea and Australia. So the story is still unfolding of who we really are.
And again, we're in that age, so with information technology, is for us to try and pull it together. Absolutely. Even though I do believe that we had the power before.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
Intuitively.
Yes.
And use telepathy.
Yes.
All of those
absolutely.
information we've lost, because even like
we
myself,
haven't lost. We're remembering. We forgot.
We forgot. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I can concede on that.
And I think we know we're remembering when you read a new concept and you understand You know, there's that slightly different way of, with maths sometimes, you're like, oh, yeah, I get it. And it feels very much in your head. But then sometimes with certain concepts, you hear it and it's like you
It's within.
understand. Yeah. And I think it's because we've forgotten, but we were meant to forget. And the ancients knew we were going to forget. And I believe that's why they did so much hieroglyphics, because they knew they were forgetting. And so they had to put everything they knew down. So the real significance even of certain pyramids, I'm not even sure we are yet at the time where I think they're starting to unlock codes inside of us, but it's a continuing story. Who knows when finally another age will look at the pyramids and boom, something we can't even imagine will happen to humanity and our DNA.
Okay. Well, that's a real telling thoughts, and as you've said it there is a lot of things which I had myself we'd say forgotten, and going back home and reconnecting.
Yes.
I remember, as much as I came here at such a tender age, I knew so much when it came to the environment, the properties associated with plants, what would have for tea, what would have as medicine, and whenever there's an ailment,
Yes.
what our grandparents tell us to go.
Yeah.
But over a period of time, those things are set aside,
Exactly.
because living in, say, in the West, they've got their own interpretation.
Yes.
In that, obviously, they harness, they gather all the bushes that we would have, and they just
give you a little pill
give you a little pill.
and just make sure you come back for more.
Come back for more.
But this is why I started African Spiritual Practices, really, because I realized the knowledge is coming back from all these different sources. And with my own research, you know, I was listening to Bobby Hemmett, and then Bobby Hemmett is saying, read this book, read that book. And then I'm listening to Dr. Phil Valentine, I'm listening to Wayne Chandler, and I'm realizing, okay, the information, you know, it's like everywhere. And so what I wanted to do was to create an event where it was giving platforms to individuals who've studied, you know, and they really know their field. So when you come, you can listen to all these different speakers, all these different workshops, and you find your road in that. So we are not, this is not an Ifa event, it's not a voodoo event, it's not a particular thing. It's anytime I hear this person is learned in voodoo, I'm like, would you like to come and speak? This person is learned in sound healing. Would you like to come and speak? Yeah, because I really feel the age of the guru is dead.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that age has come to an end, which also means this is also the most dangerous time where individuals can easily fall into that cult. Because we live in this duality. So as the other side rises, so does that side. So the challenge of this time is about your inner knowing. So you can hear and hear and hear 5 different people. It doesn't mean you have to follow 5 different people. What is it your heart's worship? In my language, when we talk about what they would call obia. And they say, oh, this is really bad. So the word we would use for this kind of spiritual thing, we say bosom. They will say, oh, that's this person's bosom. Like, this person's fetish is bad. But bosom just means heart's worship. That's all that word means. But if you ask an ordinary Ghanaian, be like, hey, bosom, like they're really scared. But they don't break down the word. It just means heart's worship. And so what I try to do is give everybody a platform, and as you listen to them, you see the elements that your heart wants for you. Yeah.
Okay, well, again, it is very much a challenge, not just even for myself, but for others, because we know man to man is so unjust, you don't know who to trust. So, again, like I would say the fact that you put on these events, you're very much like the conductor, because whatever teases or pricks your interest, and you obviously have that feeling, so you have that gut feeling, and you think it's necessary in order to put it out there, so others can then identify. Because one thing I've come to realize, a problem is best solved if you're able to circle it.
Yes, yes,
If
yes.
you can
I agree.
encircle it, then it means whatever energy they're putting off, there is a counter energy, the
Yes,
balance
yes,
that is around.
yes, yes, yes,
And
yes.
I was having this conversation again this afternoon, that it's so important that to a certain extent, each of us individually, we stay in our lane, yeah, whether it's your physical ability, your spiritual ability, stay in the lane where you're energized, or you're given that special power, yeah, as opposed to what you've learned. Somebody go and they learn everything, which takes us with you jack of all trade and the master of none. Let's be a master of something, take the responsibility,
Yeah.
and then let's work as a collective in order to overcome whatever our challenges are. Okay, right, my sister, I don't know if you'd like to take a break, but what I'd like to do is, because I haven't done, I'm taking notes myself personally. I'd like to put the number out there, so if there's any.
Oh yes,
that
can I
would-
put the address of where the event is going to happen and the number they
Oh yeah,
can
we've
call?
we've
Yeah?
got ample time, because I'm going to be asking you what's
Oh,
so
okay.
special about this event. Why should we be coming
Okay.
coming there? You know, but yeah, we're having a conversation, so everything
Fantastic.
should just come out as
Cool,
a
cool,
natural
cool.
a natural flow. But
Okay.
yeah, I'm captivated, because as I say, I've got an interest because of where I am from, in Jamaica. I'm more assured now that what it is that I've always had as a belief within, I've found that it's not being replaced by being, say, baptized. Because I've been out there, but at least I've experienced it for myself, and I've gone back in my own community, and I can identify with the trees,
Yes.
the river,
Yes.
all of these
Yeah.
things. So everything is more holistic,
Yes,
as
yes,
opposed to be the individual
Exactly.
force that you worship, because everything, as you say, is about the balance. And the example again to which you give, where it's best to be in the center, because when you're in the center, it's like you got that sense of direction. And if you use a plane as an example, it's only with balance that you really go forward.
Right.
Otherwise,
yes,
it's like
very
you're on
true.
this roundabout.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
yes,
no
yes,
matter
yes.
how slight the bank is, it's going to take you
Yeah.
round and round.
Yeah.
So it's very important that we have the balance between what might be plus or minus,
Yeah.
because each one teaches one.
Yes,
Yeah?
yes, yes.
And
yes,
that's how I've come to be moving forward myself, in order to get a better understanding of
Yeah.
all, because the powers that be doesn't give us all everything.
Indeed. Well, they are almost. I was saying this just yesterday. I was speaking at a festival. You know, the powers that be, or the powers that pretend to be, they are the stone against which we can sharpen ourselves. And I think when we start to relate to them in that way, it helps us to not always be in that victim place, because if what we think becomes our reality, then if we're always looking at our situation from the point of view of victim, and that's how we express it and that's how we feel it, that's how we will continue to feel it. But the powers that are not are the stone against which we're going to sharpen ourselves. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
different energy that we use to go forward.
Okay, right. So, hold your thoughts, my listeners out there. I'm gonna give you the number, which you already should have. It's 079 444 31366. That's if you want to know about the event, the African Spirituality event, which is coming up on the 26th and the 27th of this month. And it's going to be taking place over in Bethnal Green.
Yeah,
My sister will
Richmix.
give you the details for that. And we're also inviting you to, if there is any issues, well, not necessarily issues, but if there's any teasing questions that comes to mind that would give you the assurance that your intuition or certain things that are within you, that you, like I, myself, over the years, I put some doubts as to say, well, what it is or my belief or somewhat wrong, as opposed to what you've grown up and seen, and you know your parents had probably practice, particularly if you're from a community where you're more out living amongst nature as opposed to being in certain townships. Yeah, so I'm going to be inviting you to make use of the number, make use of the fact that our sister is in the studio. She will share the wealth of her knowledge and her experience. And also afterwards, we're going to be looking as to how we can make use of this knowledge that we're blessed with insofar as our spirituality, because oftentimes I'm saying that our spirituality determines our mentality, and our mentality, our actions. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to us engaging on the other side.
There is a land of pure delight, essence, great, before my head was 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 great. Before my head was great, before my head was great, before my head before my head was great, 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 before my head was great. Oh, love divine, how sweet thou art, when shall I find my way
Yes, my family, I hope that you're ready, prepared, quenched your thirst, check the pot to make sure that your food is not burning because it is now 5:29. In truth, you're supposed to have had your dinner or around the table with the family. I hope it is that whatever was outstanding, you've been able to have that discussion, to plan your week, and to be able to meet whatever challenges that there are out there. But from my standpoint, I'm so honored to have our special guest in the studio because, as you know, as I often say, our spirituality determines our mentality, and our mentality then drives us to action. Now, my sister is in the studio. You've heard her. There is so much passion. So, what I would like to know, and it goes over to you, my sister, please. Where is this passion from? I mean, as you sent me the bio, so I know there's a common connection
Yeah,
here because
yeah.
I love working with young people because no doubt they're the future.
Indeed.
And we've got to protect them,
Yeah.
not just as a mother, but even as fathers. We have to
Absolutely.
protect our young
Yes,
people.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so
yeah.
please enlighten us further.
Yeah.
What is it that made you who you are?
Well, I suppose I've always had an interest in philosophy and spirituality and metaphysics, but really it was I was living in Ghana. I'd managed to move back to Ghana with my son. I think from the moment I was pregnant and I was told it was going to be a boy, the decision was he can't grow up here.
You can't grow up there.
Yeah.
So
So
you move back as a family unit.
yes, so we moved back, but just before we left, his father died in Abu Dhabi. So, but like literally, our stuff had already arrived in Ghana. He died, I think it was 2 days before we were due to leave our flat. So our life had already moved in a way. So we ended up staying for about 3 months, funeral, all this stuff, and then we went to Ghana. We were there for 5 years when my mother over here needed an operation on her spine. So I'd agreed to come back to help look after her for 3 months. But the operation went wrong. And suddenly my mum needed rehabilitation and all of this stuff. So I'm here, as you can imagine, longer than 3 months, 6 months, a year. So we put my son into school back in the UK. And he was going to a local secondary school. When he started, it was amazing. He won the school speech prize in his first 2 weeks. They put him up a year in English. It was like there was no stopping this boy because he'd had Ghanaian education for 5 solid years.
With the discipline.
Exactly. And then, unfortunately, within literally 1 term, he started failing everything. And it was impossible for me at that time to really work out what was going on, because I'd had to give up. I had 2 shops in Ghana when I came over. I'd had to give one up. I was still keeping hold of one of them, but because of the situation with my mum, I was having to make a decision over that. Our flat, I was having to change it over for somebody else to take it over. So I had a lot going on, and really, I think I got very depressed because suddenly I'm back in London, I'm back in my mother's house, and I'm, to all intents and purposes, a carer. And I'm looking after my mum, and now I'm having to sew at home to try and make some money. And it was a really difficult time. So when my son's grades started going down, I really just thought it was a grades thing, and I'd be talking to him, and I got him a tutor. It wasn't still working. And then one day, the police knocked on the door, and they're like, "We've just found Seren round the back with a knife." And I was so shocked, I actually laughed, because if anybody knew my son before then, he was a bookworm. It was a knife, Seren?
Totally out of character.
Totally out of character. And so because of the type of person I am, when I went, after the police station and everything, I got him into therapy, because then it was like I was a bit shaken out of my comfort zone or discomfort zone, and I could see, okay, something's going on with him because the grades are through the ground. His actions are not 100%. If he got a phone call, he would leave the room. Suddenly he was no longer telling me who his friends were. He would say about people but no names. I'd be like, "Seren, who are your friends now?" "Oh, no, I don't know." This evasion. Suddenly he's staying out till late. The psychotherapist is talking to him every week. I'm paying for that. But it's like things aren't getting through. I can see things aren't getting through, and things are slowly getting worse. And there was a sense in me where I kind of started to realize, okay, I'm depressed because I had a shop, a cooperative shop, and if I was in the shop, you wouldn't know. I'm doing everything, organizing everybody, but on my days off, I sit at the dining room table, and when I look up, it's 6 o'clock in the evening. I haven't moved. So I realized, okay, Akua, you have to get yourself in hand. So I think I looked up online, how to get over procrastination fast. And I learnt about tapping. And you tap on meridian points on your body. That was the first modality of healing that I think it worked in something like 10 minutes. And I remember getting up and going to sew at the end of it. And that started me on a journey of finding these different techniques, because I'd been to the doctor. I said, "Doctor, I think I'm depressed. I don't want to take medication. I think maybe I need some therapy." And they tell me about CBT. I read about it and I realize actually therapy is years. And I realize I haven't got years. I've got a situation in my household. I have to become more to deal with this situation. I haven't got years to sit and chat to a therapist. So needing that speed was what led me to doing just more research. So after the tapping, I found a book by Dr. Gabor Mate called Hold On to Your Kids. And it was about how kids attach to their peers. They unattach from their parents and they attach to their peers. So when I'm going through the exercises in there, I can see me and my son getting a bit closer, but it's not quite enough. And then I learnt about non-violent communication. And it's a form of being able to hear the need behind what the person is saying to you. Very challenging when your very respectful Ghanaian teenager is calling you an effing C to your face. This is how my son had become, and I'm having to still use non-violent communication to hear the need behind what's going on, because when I was reading Hold On to Your Kids, I learned about why discipline and boundaries weren't working anymore. Because when I would talk to family, no, you just have to put your foot down, and you can't make people understand that no, we're in a different place now. We're in a different place where these things about put your foot down are not working. One of his friends, who was, because they had been, basically they'd been groomed into county lines drug dealing, but at this stage they weren't going across county. What we found out later was at this stage they were grooming them in school, and what they would do is they would put, let's say, a knife in a bag, and you had to look after that bag for that day, and they would give you tasks of where to leave the bag, where to pick up the bag, training them in school. And they do the same with drugs in school. So I was confused because he wasn't staying out late yet, but the behavior wasn't right. But soon he was staying out too late. So these modalities were helping me to get some more insight, but the arguments between us was too much. And I knew, okay, Akua, you need some deeper help, because you can't, this fighting isn't working. He's 14 years old now. He's 6'1". You know, this you can't tie him to the bed. And actually what I need is for him to have a different brain. I need a different brain first. So that's when I started working with St. John's wort on myself to get rid of my depression. St. John's wort was brilliant, but I knew I needed deeper. I needed to go deeper with myself. And I heard about a frog medicine called Cambo, which is legal. So you can get hold of that. So when I started working with Cambo, I have these scars here, because you burn the top layer of skin and the medicine is put in, and it's a purgative. So you drink 2 liters of water, the medicine goes in, and the toxins in your organs, because your organs hold trauma. So the toxins, as they come out, actually some of your old traumas also come out. So this was making me a lot stronger in myself to learn more, to find more strategies to deal with my son. And then I realized, okay, I need a stronger medicine. I heard about a medicine from South America called ayahuasca, but I didn't know anyone how to get hold of it. But somewhere in me, I knew there was an African alternative. And I thought, well, if I can find the African one, maybe I can find someone who can get it for me. And I Googled literally African ayahuasca, and I heard of a medicine called Iboga from Gabon and the Cameroon. So, but actually to get hold of it wasn't easy. But eventually I found a woman who served that medicine. And if you've watched Black Panther, when they give him the medicine and he goes and he sees his father in the spiritual realm, that's based on Iboga medicine. They call it the medicine to see the ancestors. And when I worked with, and that's not a medicine you can party with. You're literally you're on the floor, and it works over 2-3 days. You're out, but you come in and out. So you come out a bit to eat, to go to the toilet, and then you're back. They call it being on the floor. You're back on the floor, and the medicine is being fed to you, and you are literally tripping.
Okay, so it's under supervision.
Oh yeah. You couldn't do Iboga by yourself. No. You couldn't do Iboga by yourself. This is not, like sometimes when people hear of psychedelics, they're thinking of people dancing. And no, not Iboga. Iboga, you are flat on the floor, and some people are being sick. You're seeing stuff, you're going through stuff. But the woman I did the medicine with, the medicine had taught her how to work with it with modern people. So she had a whole protocol before, which I went through of having the Cambo and then microdosing, which is taking a small amount of the medicine for 3 months before, so that my organs were used to it, and I could also get rid of a lot of toxins before I went for what they call a flood dose, which is when you take a lot. And so I was given 15 grams of Iboga over the 2.5 days. And I always say afterwards, when I came out, I became the dragon mother. That's when it was like, okay, right, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this fight. Because by then, he had started to actually go across county lines. So at this stage, it was really another, in Ghana we say my mind was crack, 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 crack. It's like, you know, your mind is literally like
All
this,
over the place.
totally, but the medicine was just like, bang.
Focus.
It was focus, you have work to do. I'm still crack, 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 but there's still a core of me that's finding this, finding that, finding that. But it gave me the strength to be able to like follow cars that was bringing him down, get down license plate numbers, access deeper levels of the police, really build a good relationship with my social worker, because she was like his social worker who was working with me. She was giving me information from the police that they weren't telling me about places where they knew my son was going. And I was able to get, you know, so it was helping me negotiate all of these things, but also not be scared of the people who had my son under control. So even though I kept on being told, oh, you've got to be careful, you know, they mustn't see, I was like, no, they must see me, because I wanted them to know this child has somebody.
And you're not intimidated.
And I'm not intimidated, because there was something in me that also knew I'm not the parent who got stabbed. That is not my story. Then both of us are going to die. I'm ready for that. That was really where I was with it. And after a while of this, I had a sense I needed to really get spiritually involved as well. And you may have heard of Dalian Odofo, who does ancestral voices. He does books and videotapes and does courses for people who want to learn more about African spirituality. And I used to sell his books and DVDs in my shop. So I phoned Dalian and I said, I know I need to have an ancestral altar, but I don't know what to have on it and what else to do. And he was the one who told me. He was like, sister, just set a place, put some cloth down, give them water, give them food. And he told me his personal experiences, how his mother, his deceased mother, was making contact back with him. And I had my son's father's, a small amount of his ashes. So that's what I began with, you know, and I would talk to the ashes, you know, Rob, we're in trouble with this boy. I need you to get the others. Yeah. He needs some fathering right now. And what was amazing was, while we were going through this, I have to say, personally for me, I will not have one bad word said about the black male community, because the way people came out of the woodwork, people didn't even know me, were prepared to help my son. A millionaire took out his checkbook. I took my son to his house, took out his checkbook, and he wrote £5,000, and he said to my son, if you will take this to start a business, any business, whatever you want to do, I will help you. I'll give you the money and I'll give you the advice. Another millionaire took my son and let him work with him. But the thing was, with all of this, his mind, my son's mind, Ghana would say his mind wasn't home. And it wasn't, even though he used to say it's about money, these kids, it's not about money, because their brains have been captured. And I started realizing, okay, I need another way in. And the more I was dissecting how my son was behaving, I realized it's like he's in a cult. So I Googled gangs and cults. I couldn't find anybody who'd made that association till finally I found a woman called Diane Benscoter. And she'd written a book about how she was rescued from a cult and how she rescues people from cults and gangs. So I watched her videos, I bought her book, and she has a protocol for families who are trying to get their family out of cults. And the first number one is you stop criticizing the cult. So when my son would come home, I'd get all the uncles and the aunties in the house, and we'd be sitting around him, and everybody, how can you do this to your mother? Sarah, you are not thinking of, I realized, okay, none of that works, because the cult has already told the victim that they're going to do that. And everything you think you're saying is wisdom, they have been told is poison. So when you're trying to get somebody out of a cult or a gang, you've got to go the opposite way. You've got to act like what they're doing is normal. So I would have secret conversations with my son that I couldn't even afford for my mum to hear, because they would think I'd finally gone mad. because I would phone him and I realized, okay, I've got to build back up the love, because that's the one thing they don't have. He's a bit scared of them. Whatever's going on, how they've got him, he's a bit scared of them. But the umbilical cord is between me and him, and it's love. So I would literally, when we speak, yeah, how was today? Did you make as much money as you needed to make? Cool. Have you sold everything? Will you be coming home? This is how we talk. We talked about it as if he was out doing business. And the more I spoke to him like that, he started, then I became his safe haven. He would ring me 3-4 times a day. He's still away. He won't tell me where he is, but he's relying on that connection. Totally. So at this stage, I knew more about psychedelics. So I'd been then reading about MDMA therapy. I'd been reading about psilocybin magic mushrooms, how they're doing all these scientific trials around the world, how it changes the brain, how it cleans the brain. I was like, okay, I need to get my son to take some of this medicine. But how? Because as much as he was a drug dealer, he didn't want to take drugs. So the more I strengthened our relationship, I just had a little plan. I started sending him these scientific papers about the different trials that are happening around the world and the promise of psychedelics, how it's going to change the world, mental health, and all these different things that people are doing, and how people in Silicon Valley are microdosing to make more money. The Apple guy, Steve Jobs, even the one who wants to kill all the black people with the Bill Gates, they all started admitting how they were using psychedelics. So I'm just sending him all these articles and he's reading, then we're talking. And one day I said to him, so now I've got my altar, I've got my African spiritual practice, venerating the ancestors. I'm pouring libation at the crossroads because I had a voodoo priest who American. He was voodoo and hoodoo. He's American, but he lives in South Africa. So he told me what herbs to use to do a spiritual wash, and also to pour libation at the crossroads for a legba, the road opener from the Ifa tradition. So I was doing that. So I just strengthened, like, Baba Legba, bring me back my son, but don't let him be arrested with any drugs or any money. And 5 times in a row, this boy was picked up. Always, no drugs, no money on him. So even he started, because I was telling him what I was doing. So he started getting a bit kind of like, nah, mum, all that juju stuff you're doing. I was like, yes, the ancestors, they don't want you doing this. So as the scientific papers are starting to work and our relationship is getting stronger, because I'm now no longer saying selling drugs is bad and all this stuff. One day I just said to him, if you come home, I've got some medicine for you to take. If you take it, there's going to be one of 2 things that can happen. If you decide you'll be a drug dealer after you've taken the medicine, I promise never to ask you to leave again, to stop again, because I think you'll be a better drug dealer because your mind at least will be clean, or I think you'll stop. So I want you to give me the opportunity for one of these 2 things to happen, because I knew he had so much trauma. I knew he would stop. I knew he didn't think so, but I knew he would stop, because he was at that stage. If he was near you and you clapped your hands too loud, he's shaking. Totally, he was in trauma. He was in total fight or flight. And then I think it was about 2 days afterwards, he phoned me and says, oh, we're coming home because we've heard that the police know about the house that we're using, so we have to leave. So, and by then I knew the protocol I was going to follow, because there was a book out called Psychedelic Psychotherapy, where he talks about the different medicines. He was an underground therapist using psychedelics on his clients while it was illegal in America. So I knew that the MDMA would be what would return his empathy and his love for himself, for everybody, and it also makes you speak the truth from a place of love. And then I was going to follow that with the psilocybin magic mushrooms, because then you do the deep work of excavating your trauma and your problems. But I knew I couldn't tell him that the first medicine was MDMA, because he knows it as ecstasy, party drug. So he came home, and I just said, "You got to drink this first." So that was the MDMA. So he drank that. Half an hour later, he was telling me everything: how he got groomed, how he knew he was on a hiding to nothing, how he wasn't actually making any money, how, he saw the whole picture. He was crying, he was upset what he'd done to the family. He could see all of this stuff. My mum's downstairs, my 75-year-old mum's, everybody knew what I was going to do. He phoned my mum, apologized to her, apologized to all the fact he was phoning everybody. And that night, he says, "I'm not going to do it anymore, but there is something in the house, and I'm going to be honourable and give it back to the people." So the next day, we went in a cab. He gave them back their bad medicine, we call it in Ghana. They beat him up a little bit, but they knew I was outside, so nothing too bad. And then the next night was when I gave him the psilocybin magic mushrooms, 5 grams. They call that a heroic dose. And some people say, "Wow, that's too much." But I know that's mind-changing quantities. I wasn't going to give him a gram so he sees some pretty colours. No, we needed mind-changing. And he cried for 6 hours, and it was grief coming out. And at the end of it, he was done with the life. But that is only the start. As much as he was done with the life and no more county lines drug dealing, now he had to face himself and what he'd done and what he's been through. And now it's 2 years later. He chose himself to move to Ghana because actually it wasn't safe for him now in this country. And he's finally now back in school. His confidence is not the highest, so we're still working, and soon I'm going to go back to Ghana, and we're going to go away and have an intensive time to really, for him to exorcise those last demons. Because when a child is involved in county lines drug dealing, selling, being around drug addicts, Lord knows what he's seen. And that's now the work. But for me, that process of trusting the ancestors, trusting the wisdom of the medicine, was something that it probably, I would never know that without it being such an intense experience. And that's the passion, because I know how the mushrooms communicate with me and tell me what to do next and show me where to look. I know how they communicate with him and has shown him what to do next. So, and how the ancestors have protected us all the way, the ancestors and the deities. So for me, no one can show me anything else. I've seen it with my life.
Yeah, well, you've just explained to me the power of love to just capture everything. And as I shared with you before, I worked with young people. Being involved in politics, when they got me out of politics, I went into foster, remanding, challenging teenagers.
Wow.
Because I didn't really want to give up that passion which I had for our young people, because when I was there, what I was able to do was to try and bridge the gap by putting on events. I put on events for the young people, because I realized back then that there was a challenge that they were facing.
Yeah.
Our kids were being taken away from us.
Yes.
I experienced that through my cousin. My cousin ended up in jail because his son was out of control and he wanted to pull his rein in, and he ended up in jail for so doing. But yeah, working with these young people, what I did in interjecting with them is put on these events, and the events I put on, in order for them to come to the events, let us just do their homework and their house chores.
Yes.
Then I provided a safe environment that they could come and express themselves.
Yes.
And I see even those who are supposed to be the bad boys.
Yes.
The bad boys, basically, I just put a microphone in their hands and I said, go and show off. You know, if they ain't got anything positive, their friends is going to laugh after them.
Yeah,
So it becomes like a hot potato. But these are the things that I had done in working with our young people and the parents in turn, because society allow certain influences
Oh, yes.
to encroach into your home,
Absolutely.
take away the boundaries, because they want ownership, because they've got a long-term plan.
Exactly. And it didn't start yesterday.
They got
Yes,
a long term.
it's a long-term plan, and and you know, as parents, we lie to ourselves. You know, by the time your child is 5, 6 years old, you're seeing them, well, maybe 2 hours in the morning, and then you're seeing them maybe 3, 4 hours at the end of the day. And a lot of that time, they're eating, just relaxing, and going to bed. And the most vital period of time when they're the most awake, you're nowhere near there. They're with people who are operating a system that is not for you. And as good as a lot of teachers want to be, they're working for an institution, under an institution, teaching what the institution is asking them to teach.
Yeah, and it's gotten worse now because it's become the elite. Whereas before we could say it's our oppressors, which is everybody with their institutions scattered. But now that institutions, because of privatization and the power of their money, has become an elite.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
become an elite.
Yep.
And what's even far worse now, because of this technology,
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, the phone.
the phone now,
Yeah.
my son, I'm even seeing it with my grandchildren.
Oh, yeah.
Parents who are busy making money, but not having the time for the children. So the
Absolutely.
children, they're in the corner with their
With their phone.
phones.
Yes.
And there is me who want to remain a dinosaur because I don't want to be too overly influenced
Yes. Yeah.
by
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But it's a means to an end, but it's a very destructive end because
Absolutely.
we don't know what signals are
And
being.
also, they're unattaching. See, one of the first things I had to learn about this peer attachment is in your child spending less and less and less time with you, and their friends becoming more and more and more important, which is natural. You know, as you grow up, you must slightly unattach from the parents to become more interested in your peer because biology wants you to have a partner. But what we're having is in this unattachment and attaching to the peers, who are those peers? What are those peers they're attaching to about? What else are they involved with? So, and when it came to like the exercises that to reattach, they were really simple. They was simple. One was at night when he was in his room, just going in and like, not how was your day, because by the time your relationship is fractious, how was your day can start. So it's just kind of like, if it's 9:30, it can just be, oh wow, so you're already in bed. Are you reading something before you go to sleep, or what are you watching before you go to sleep? You're engaging them, but in something that's not gonna cause. Or you just even go in and go, oh, so nice to see you. Just so nice to see you. I had such a hard day today, but it's nice to see you. And then you leave it and you walk away. In the morning, because what our place had become, get out of bed, you've got to go to school. No, in the morning, just go in. How did you sleep? Did you sleep well? Oh, okay, well, I'm just doing the breakfast now. Come up when you're ready. And you close the door and you walk away. All those things, what they were doing is reattaching each other. But it's hard to do when your child is showing you the opposite. But these are strategies, because actually the whole thing of sending a child to school unattaches you anyway. So you got to work harder to keep that bond.
Wow. Okay, right. I'm now looking at the time. We've dealt with the emotions, right? And again, you've given us reasons as to why we should be assured that there are going to be benefits, without a doubt, by attending the sessions on the event, the 26th and the 27th. But can you elaborate a bit more where it is?
Yeah.
To let us
So
know?
it's at Rich Mix, which is on Bethnal Green Road. I think the nearest station is Shoreditch, and we've got 11 speakers over the 2 days. So we've got sound bath with a sound healing. We've got Saya Ray. She's doing almost 2.5 hours of ancestral veneration, and then a soul healing where she really helps you to connect with your ancestors. We have Edison Adebanjo from Ancestral Essence, and he's really talking about how you and your ancestors are, how they guide your perception. So your perception as yourself is guided by your traumas and what you believe. Your ancestors are there trying to guide you to the truth. And so he's really going to help us to understand, how do I access the voice of my ancestors to guide me to the truth? We have Ofosuhere is going to be there talking about past lives and how the timelines work together, and how our thoughts can affect the timelines even of the past, so that to affect our future. We have Leon Marshall, the hidden science of melanin. He's coming down with his new book. He's going to be doing a signing there, and really talking about the power of melanin and water, and what is the secret of melanin and water. So there's some powerful people. I'm going to be talking about psychedelics and healing trauma, and how you can work with psychedelics on your own or with just a friend, because we're talking about compounds and things that are illegal at this time, but I know it's not long. We've got maybe 18 months to 2 years, and they are going to be legal. So how to think about how you work on your traumas with these medicines. They're legal in Jamaica. You can go to Jamaica and take magic mushrooms, and nobody's going to do anything to you. So there are places in the world where you can go.
You can take magic mushrooms, but you mustn't really smoke cannabis and those kind of things.
Well, there's different types of cannabis, and there's even how to work with cannabis spiritually. We had somebody last time talking about that. We haven't got somebody talking about cannabis this time, but at the last event of the year in October, we will actually have a very heavy cannabis contingency. Yeah.
Okay. Well, my sister, thank you very, very,
Thank
very much
you.
for having given up your time this afternoon.
Oh, not at all.
And I'm joyful to know that obviously your son is with us, because there is the other side as to which it could have been far worse, but he's also home,
Yes.
and he's connected
Yeah.
with his ancestors, and
Yeah.
again the pride obviously has been reinstilled
Yeah.
in him, so for myself, when I hear anything to do with young people, I'm always encouraged, hopeful, because they are our future. That's
Indeed.
why we birth them, that's why they're here, and again the ancestors know that
Exactly.
will protect and hopefully guide their footsteps.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Myself, I look forward to attending.
I'm glad you're going to be coming.
I'm not going to be there for both days.
No
because I've got a
problem.
commitment with
Yeah.
another prior engagement.
Oh, and we have 3 tickets to give away to your listeners.
Yeah. Well, where are we now? Yeah. For you, the listeners out there. Yeah. There's another thing. There was a mention. I think is Galactic Light on your program.
Oh, yes. He's there, and he's actually there with his dodecahedron, which is this big structure, and it's more powerful than sitting underneath a pyramid. So that's going to be set up there, and you can come and you can meditate under it and feel the power of the dodecahedron yourself. And he's going to be speaking as well about spirituality and the zodiac.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whilst we've got you in the studio, if there's any listeners out there who already probably had planned to go, haven't yet bought their tickets, or any listeners who again would like to have this experience, so you can search within yourself and to identify with some of these inner feelings to which you've had, so that you can be assured that you're not mentally disturbed, but you're being enlightened.
Indeed.
And being liberated, and your consciousness has been pricked, because we are at that time where everything is coming into alignment.
Yes.
As my sister said, in relation to melanin and water, that has so drawn drew me in because water is a blood on this earth to a certain
Exactly.
extent.
Yes.
It circulates and it reaches every part
Yes.
that it needs to. And then melanated, it's like cobalt. I think my interpretation because we actually do charge up.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we are
yes.
electric.
We are electric indeed, yeah.
And that is an understanding that I think we really need to grasp. That makes us so unique.
Yes.
Yeah, when it comes to our nature, as
Yes.
opposed to our counterparts, our cousins, if we can say,
Yeah.
when they're exposed to the sun, they fry.
And this is also why we, and I know Leon Marshall's going to really talk about this, melanin is very active under stress, but fear and trauma locks it down. So this is why it's very important we look at our relationship with our history.
Wow, that is interesting.
This is why,
trauma.
yes, this is why it's very important that certain aspects of our history that is constantly reinforced every 5-10 years, there's another film to just reawaken. It's very, very important, the relationship we have with that story, because they know every time they have us in trauma and in fear, we are being locked down. So we have to make this system sharpen us, not dull us. Yeah.
Okay. Well, again, you can see the importance. Now I'm wondering how am I going to get 2 days, because I'm going to be missing. I'm going to be missing so much.
You're not, because as a ticket holder, you're going to have access to all the recordings. There's all ticket holders. So if you're only coming for 1 day, you will get access to all the recordings. There's only one session that isn't recorded, and that's the ancestral veneration one with the sound healing. Only because we just don't have enough microphones to record all around that particular room. But all 10 talks and lectures you will get.
Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
so don't worry. You'll be there for 1 day, but you'll get all the talks for 2 days.
Yeah, and again, this platform is always going to be available to your team.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
To enable the message to be projected.
Brilliant.
Because the time is, we have to save this earth.
Absolutely. Well, we have to save humanity, because we'll be gone. The earth will still be here.
Yeah, well, that's a more pertinent point, isn't it?
We'll be gone. So, we've got to save ourselves and each other. Yes. Yes, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's fantastic. So, you, the listeners, the program has basically come to an end. I'm just going to wind down things now and to reflect as to the content of what our sister has shared with us. And I can really and truly say, wow, I had an idea as to what our young people go through when they're being groomed. Worked with them because, as I say, I did fostering for Rwandan challenging teenagers.
Wow.
And in the end, I gave it up because I said to myself, I'm not going to go to a madhouse and I'm not going to allow them to take me to jail.
Yes.
Yeah, they can take them picnic and keep their money.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
because
yes.
I could see what it is that they were doing.
The
and
damage.
I didn't really want to be party to it. It is a case that even though they're in your household, the room that they occupied is theirs.
Yes.
Effectively, it's like you're not allowed. You've got to get their consent to get into your room.
Yeah.
So the system knows what it is that they're doing to entrap our kids.
Yes.
And for whatever reason, I say they're effectively kicking the can down the road to try and hold us in bondage another 400 years, because our humanity, which was amplified in all that you said, at the end of the day, it's love that we use in order to conquer all their trauma and the oppressive state of mind.
Yeah.
And we naturally have that nature in origin.
Yeah.
Whether it's because we're melanated that we're able to deal with the stresses and the trauma, as again you highlighted. But nonetheless, if we don't take the responsibility as a collective,
Indeed.
and again, even with your son, what that demonstrated in what had been said, it does take a village to raise
Oh,
a child.
100%. Listen, right now, the village that are supporting him in Ghana, I could never have enough heart to thank them. All my cousins, his uncles, who are help. One cousin's husband, and I know we're coming to the end, so I'll keep it brief. One cousin's husband came to my son's father's funeral with us, and what I didn't know was he had lost his father when he was 8 years old, and he made a promise to himself that if my son ever needed help, he would be there. And last year, he phoned us and said, "Can I put Seren through school? I've seen him in Ghana, and this is what I thought 12 years ago, and I feel this is now the time for me to do the promise I made." I mean, I was crying. I never knew.
That's ancestral.
Totally. And now this man, he is there for my son regardless.
Yeah,
Regardless.
yeah.
And this is the strength of community.
Community.
And we have it. We have it. You don't know it until your back is against the wall. And I found, as I say, I'll never have anything bad said against a black man, because the things people have shown me since I've been through this with my son, I'm like, wow, the gods in our community, the divine masculinity in our community, I can never say thank you enough.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say thank you.
Thank you.
For gracing our studios and
Thank
to
you.
be able to impact on us as well as the community that is out there in such a manner that is I'd say it's heart rendering,
Thank
because
you.
I had an idea, because it dealt with spirituality as to what we would be touching on, and there is so much that couldn't be covered.
Yeah.
And so I understand the reason why you stretched it over 2 days,
Yes,
so people can
yeah.
get a better insight
Exactly.
and to realize it's a holistic thing.
It's a holistic
There's no one
thing.
way as to
Exactly.
how to
Exactly.
deal with it. So I'm hoping that you, the listeners out there, that you didn't allow your food to burn, that you're able to digest all that had been said, and more importantly, that you give a keen eye on our greatest investment, which is our children,
Yes.
that we are blessed with, to enable them to be those champions within our community. Because at the end of the day, ultimately, we're standing on the shoulders of our ancestors. Had we not, or had we been given all the answers, I think, quite honestly, it would have driven us mad individually, because we'd think that we're so powerful. But nonetheless, with all being said, I have to salute yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you for opening up my eyes further as towards our spirituality, and let it be that we don't take it for granted, but to use it for the love of humanity.
Indeed.
Because
Indeed.
as you rightly corrected me, the first thing is we are the keepers of this earth, so it's for us to survive, because the earth will always be there in whatever form.
Exactly.
Because we've seen the evidence. There are different
Yeah.
planets scattered out
Absolutely.
there. We just so
Absolutely.
happen to occupy this earth,
Yes.
and we've allowed, whether probably not necessarily be by choice, but our oppressors have constantly traumatized us, and they will continue to traumatize us. But because we are originals and we are melanated,
Yes.
no matter how they try, and I think that's where the power, that's why I say I'm so fascinated with this melanin and water,
Yes.
because that again is a balance, and it is a solution.
Yes.
So we need to know who we are, so we
Yes.
need to know ourselves, the powers that lies within.
Yes.
Why it is that we are our brother's keepers.
Absolutely.
Why it is that as a village, we need to realize more so, as again you said, that our backs are against the wall, for the reasons that have been demonstrated. So I thank you, thank you, thank you. I look forward to the event.
Yes, African Spiritual Practices.
Spiritual practices.
This, yeah, tickets can be got from, you can get them direct from me, 07389136084. You just WhatsApp tickets for African Spiritual Practices, or you can get them through Eventbrite African Spiritual Practices, or you can pick them up from our pop-up shop opposite Kentish Town Tube Station, which is called Hub and Culture, 327 Kentish Town Road. So lots of places to get tickets.
Right. Are you saying there's no associated cost to the tickets?
Oh, the tickets they start from £15 for the online, and it's £40 for the 2 days, or £25 for 1 day. As we've said, you have some to give away. So I don't know, do people text you? You will let them know how they can access.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm going to be pushing that because for the price that's been given, I think there's a lot of interest in
Thank you.
attended.
Thank
And there's just going to be so much benefit
Wonderful.
for those who do attend.
Yeah.
So again, I thank you. I wish
Thank
your son,
you.
your family well.
Thank you.
I've not managed to get to Ghana. I've only been to the Gambia.
Soon come. Soon
Yeah,
come.
yeah.
It's not far.
It's not far, but again, over the years, obviously, I've got friends and family who have settled there.
Yes,
The drums that I'm playing, I was gifted them
Right.
by Mr. Akua. He's back home in Ghana.
Right.
There now. He's left me with the drums. And with that comes
Fantastic.
some special responsibility.
Indeed,
So
indeed.
I'm utilising them. And I'll wind up by just talking a little bit more about the drums and the things that I was doing yesterday locally, and how to empower ourselves politically to try and educate the oppressors as to an alternative way. So instead of spending resources making weapons of mass destruction, we focus on how we can make this earth more harmonious
Exactly.
and a beauty for.
So what were you doing yesterday?
I was in Edmonton. We started we launched a festival. It's called the Windrush Anchor Festival, and it reflecting on the anchor being, when a ship docks,
Yes.
you put down
The anchor.
the
Yes.
anchor. Unfortunate for us, the trauma that was associated with it. As I was saying, I came here in 1969, somewhat of that Windrush generation. Through Bernie Grant, I got myself at a level where I became a local councillor.
Right.
Working with young people, but I was
Yes.
working with young people in a manner where I identified some of the issues that parents was
Yes.
confronting, because
Yes.
the system was eroding,
Oh.
and I wasn't
Yes.
playing that game.
Yes. Yes.
I didn't play that game, so
Yeah.
because I didn't play that game, I was then ostracized.
Of course.
And
Yes.
then we're suffering the consequence. 20 odd years since I was in council, nothing has really changed in the community.
Yeah.
So now we're putting down foot. Yesterday was like a family reunion.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So all the people that was around me 20 odd years ago when I was in council, they're still on the peripheries. And
Yes.
So we're now coming back together, because ultimately we need to empower ourselves.
Absolutely.
What they've been doing is denying us representation into all of these institutions, because they know once we're in there, they can't be themselves.
Of course,
and
of course.
boisterously saying
Yes.
plan this and plan
Yes,
that.
yes.
That's why they don't want us in there. So the likes of Diane Harper, when she became Home Secretary,
Right.
you know that was not gonna work.
Right.
Because that is like a library within a library. They don't want to let you into those institutions, those secrets, because they've got plans as to how to deal with us.
Yes.
And they will always plan, but they're on a path of self-destruction.
Exactly. As I always say to everybody, you see, you can't do evil without doing evil unto yourself. And just even yesterday, I was speaking at a festival called Medicine Festival, mostly Caucasian festival, and I was explaining about wonderful to have this space to talk about trauma. And very often, as soon as we go into colonialism, the talk is about black and brown trauma. But nobody talks about the white trauma. The white trauma that's coming out in the largest suicide rate is middle class white men. White people are not replacing themselves enough. They're in the minus. These are all signs of trauma. So there is a reason for them to get better. And it's really humanity has to start dealing with its traumas, because the old stories are not benefiting humanity. The pyramid, when we look at a pyramid, that top bit is tiny with everybody else down there. And the quicker I think everybody realizes how this thing is really working and identifying the first biggest enemy is within. And you've got to get rid of that enemy first, because then you can dismantle this triangle. Because the triangle is constantly trying to make you think the enemy is out there. The more you think the enemy is out there, the more you inhabit it in your heart. So they're doing all these structures, but it ain't benefiting the ones they keep telling us they're benefiting. We're being told apparently the middle class white man is sitting at the top of the tree. Well, if it's true, why is he killing himself? If it's true, why are they not choosing to have children? And when I ask my white friends, why don't you want to have children? They say, I don't want to bring a child into this world.
That they creating.
Well, the thing is, the truth is, for that white individual, what did they have to do with it? Do you see what I mean? The system is such that in that pyramid, nearly everybody is there. One place or another. If you're there, and I'm pointing to a little bit down from the point, you might feel like you're better than everybody, but you're still in it. You're still in it. So we have the technology in us to see the whole picture. And while they keep us fixated in our victim place, we're in this triangle. Our work is to allow them, as I keep saying, to be the stone on which we sharpen ourselves, because that's how we get out of this. It's an illusion.
Definitely.
It's an illusion. And so we just need to do the inner work. And that's really where the trauma we need to clean up in ourselves. The pain of our ancestors that we still feel because we're connected, we need to do the work to clean up that pain. So they can still bring out the next slavery film. But you know what? We won't shed a tear, because you won't be able to trigger me into a space where my melanin is not working. We got to understand this game in a different way, because they will keep bringing out stuff to keep us back in protest mood, back in fear and loathing. And we need to be so sharp that when they come with the next Django in Chains or whatever, it's like, oh, another one of them films, and we just keep it moving. Exactly.
Okay. Well, my sister, that is another topic in itself.
Indeed. Indeed.
That's another topic. So what we're gonna do now? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna wind it down. And what I need to know for yourself. What did you do? You took a taxi?
Yeah. I came by minicab because I wasn't too sure of where I was coming, but now I can kind of like see that I'm not far from where all the shops are on Seven Sisters Road.
Okay, so what would be your preferred route home?
I think I'd like to go to Seven Sisters Road, because there's a guy who's got a little shop, and he sells all herbs and stuff in there. So I'm thinking of going to there. Yeah, that's what it's called. I hope he's still open. I feel like he stays open late.
All right. Well, let me just wind down then, and then I will take you to West Green Road.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful.
I can get myself home. Yes, my listeners, you're still there. Right. One, as you heard, my sister's made 3 tickets available to yourself. Yeah, so if you care to phone, I know I should be winding up now, but I'm hoping to do that within the next 15 minutes. You've got 15 minutes to respond on 079 for this event, African Spirituality, which is taking place down there at Bethnal Green
Road.
Road. And
Rich mix. Rich mix.
Rich Nicks.
Rich mix.
Rich Nick.
Rich mix.
Oh, Rich Mix.
Yeah.
So ears no good. Huh? Rich Mix. Yeah, and that is taking place this weekend, Friday and Saturday.
Today. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, if you care to phone in, then we can make those available. We just need to make the arrangement as to where you can pick them up from. Yeah. Other than that, I thank you for having listened to the content of what has been put out there. Be mindful as to our responsibility as a community, as to how we move ourselves forward. Yeah, because we know that the cards, the stack of cards is very much set against us, but it's down to us because we can't be expecting them to liberate us. Yeah, it's not in their interest. Yeah, so it's for us to realize the trick that they've been playing on us throughout these years, and to take these matters in hand. As was mentioned, it was yesterday, we was up there in Edmonton. I must say immediately big up to Street Mike for having come out yesterday and making his contribution. So it was transmitted throughout, well, you can say throughout the world, because it is important that after so many years in Edmonton there, Enfield, where I have been living for over 30 years, we still haven't got a community centre to speak of. And for those who are here in Haringey, all of those centres that had been made available with the help of our great community champion Bernie Grant, they're all now being lost. Last week we had Tyrone from Bookman's Academy in the studio, where we're making an effort to do GoFund in order to save the Mama Art Centre that Pepper Kai for over 50 years had been serving us, the community, in so far as educating us. Yeah, so we need to be mindful, my family, that all the evidence are that where our backs are against the wall, and our backs being against the wall, we don't have no choice but to come together as a collective, to have that village mindset, yeah, in order not to allow us to be further enslaved and allow them to take away what we have been blessed with insofar as our natural resources. Yeah, so we're at a crossroad, my family. Our children, again, to a certain extent, maybe is that we are neglecting them in allowing them to have these so-called smartphone or these computers that they comfortable are in a corner all by themselves. We're not 100% sure as to what has been fed to them. And as you see, these phones, computers, they're being upgraded all the time so that the frequencies have been increased. And the increase of these frequencies mean that they're going to have some form of an adverse effect on us, because we ourselves are governed by a frequency, because we are electric, we are conductors. Yeah, we draw energies. Yeah, so these are the things that I'm bringing further to your attention, my community, and that we need to connect collectively together, yeah, in order to empower ourselves so that we have representations in all of these institutions. So I'm calling out my community especially. Yeah, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank the Campbell family for the support yesterday and that they came out in force. So I'd like to big them up. And further to that, before I go, I'd like to also big up Neil, who is the uncle of Donna Lee Donaldson in Jamaica, that you continue to fight the good fight, because everything connects. One of the conversation we were having with my sisters earlier was the significance of this island of Jamaica. Yeah, we're little, but we are Toloa, as they say. And I think we sit on a special alignment or alignment. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something special. So over the course of a few months or so to